When you get to 40s, you realize that your mind is so set on certain things. You believe things a certain way. It's very hard to change your mindset. And the society as well puts it in you, so you have to actively decide, what, this is what I believe, but it doesn't mean that I can't change my mind set about things. So I want to talk you through 5 things that have been recurring things in my head, and basically like to call them mindset shifts, that you need to adapt in your 30s or, in your 40s. The first one is that aging is a privilege. It's very easy for all of us. You look at, TVs, they're telling us how to make sure that we don't get those wrinkles. They're telling us not to, put Botox and all of that stuff. And it's all good, each to their own. And I'm not saying it is bad, but I need us to understand that aging is a privilege. If you're in your 40s, you probably know people that you grew up with who are not here with us anymore. I have lost people along the way in my 40 years of being here. And I look back and I think, you know what? If I'm going to get gray hair and if I'm going to get wrinkles, it's okay, because I've been blessed to be here. Aging is a blessing. It is a privilege. It's not a bad thing. It's not something to run away from. The second mindset shift is that it's never too late. It really isn't. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but it's never too late. I was watching YouTube and I realized that suddenly there are, grandmas in their 80s and grandpas in their 90s, well, in their 80s, who are making YouTube videos, because it's never too late to just wake up and do the things that make you happy. It is never too late. I was born in Kenya, and I remember that at some point the government introduced free primary education. And at that point, I saw grandmas and grandpas who went back to school. They always wanted to go back to, they wanted to study, but they couldn't afford at that time. And when the new administration offered free education, those people just went to school. And I remember the whole country, being so proud of these people. And that's just one thing, that it's never too late to go back to school. If you wanted to go back to school, it's not too late to start a family. It's never too late for you to start looking after yourself. It's not too late for you to start exercising and going to the gym. At the end of the day, the only thing that is standing between you and change is here. It is what you tell yourself. The third mindset shift is that not everything deserves your energy. It really doesn't, especially at this age. There are things I just look from afar and I'm like, you know what? In the past, I'd have fought this one, but this one, I think I would choose peace. Not everything deserves your energy. Just like not everyone deserves your energy. And I'm not saying this to be mean, but the older you get, the more you realize, you know what, I got to start prioritizing the things that feed me. And I'm not saying this to be selfish, but there comes a time when you have to decide what is it that you can give yourself to, and what is it that you can commit yourself to, and how you know the right thing to commit yourself to, how you know what deserves your energy. Is determined by the peace you feel about this thing. If you're constantly giving yourself to things that leave you feeling empty and depleted, then it is a sign. It is a sign that you probably are giving yourself to things that are not worth the energy. Okay. And the other mindset shift that I would like you to think about is that you are allowed to change your mind. I think a lot of times we think, you know what, I made this decision. This is my stand. This has always been my stand. And you're worried about what people are going to think. The truth is that you are allowed to change your mind. You really are. You may have chosen a certain direction. You may have chosen to be with someone. You may have chosen to be in you may have chosen to be in certain social circles. You may have chosen to do this. You are allowed. It's okay. It's okay to change your mind. You are not in a cage. You are free. You are free. You are allowed to change your mind. And the other mindset shift is that you are allowed to prioritize yourself. We get married and we get children, and our children grow up, and we are constantly just giving ourselves to them to a point whereby we forget ourselves. No, you are allowed. I want you to remember this. You are allowed to prioritize yourself. You're allowed to go for that walk by yourself. You're allowed to just be alone. You are allowed to do that. I find that in the Western countries, especially because, there's no help, there are no nannies or people who can help us to look at our children. Unlike, in some other parts of the world, mothers especially are so spread thin because they have to they have to constantly look after their children. They've got to look after their own businesses and jobs and everything else in between, and they've got husbands, and then mothers are so haggard and they are so worn out. I want you to remember this. If you're a mom, you are allowed to prioritize yourself. You're allowed to go like, what, this is this 1 hour, I just want to be by myself. It is a mindset shift that is not only beneficial to you, but also has an effect to those around you. Because again, you cannot fill from an empty cup. You cannot fill from an empty cup. Okay. I hope this encourages you. I will catch you in the next one. Please remember to subscribe. God bless.